Here is every fan base that ruined the car scene. I personally have been in the car community for quite some time now, and the evolution of toxic fan bases has evolved a lot. From the original Fast and Furious glazers who just overhyped all the JDM cars that were in that franchise, to the more modern hypercar glazers who think everything is just a comparison. Some of these cars we're going to be talking about the fan bases and the people who don't actually own these cars and are just internet warriors, and some of these cars we're going to be talking about the fans who actually own and drive these cars. So keep that in mind. Here is how toxic fan bases has evolved over time in the car community. And first, we're going to begin with the Honda fan. One that has calmed down in modern times, but there was once a time where if you were a Honda fan, you were most likely extremely annoying. Yes, Honda fans nowadays are just guys who like something reliable, something nice and cheap to commute in. But back then, if you were a Honda fan, you probably thought the Honda Civic was the greatest car in the world. Like, an argument could be going on about 3 of the fastest cars of all time. I'm talking Bugattis, Koenigseggs, and even massively tuned Lamborghinis. But as soon as all those are brought up, the first thing you'd probably say is, imagine a Honda Civic with a laptop. Honda Civic with a laptop has entered the chat. If you were one of these guys, we all thought you were annoying, because you guys treated a Honda Civic with a laptop like it was the LeBron of cars. The most overrated thing ever. Because you guys treated a Honda Civic with a laptop like it was the Michael Jordan of cars. Literally the most overrated thing ever. And if you were to ask these Honda fans what the laptop does for the Honda Civic, I guarantee you 60% of them don't actually know. They just say it to follow the trend, like, oh my god, a Honda with a laptop. Shut up. It must be 3 million horsepower or something. And to be honest, this isn't only just shots at the fans, because back then, Honda drivers were equally just as annoying as the fans. You couldn't see a Honda that wasn't riced out with the mufflers deleted and didn't sound like a mosquito. Honda drivers back then were the scums of the earth. If somebody just had ricer urges or just wanted to get a car to rice it out, guess what car they'd be getting? Yes, a Honda Civic. Not a Toyota, not a Lexus, not an Infiniti, they would be getting a Honda. And that just completely tarnished the reputation for this brand. But like I said, Honda fans have evolved, and most of them are actually pretty cool now. I own a Honda myself. I wouldn't say I'm a fan or a super fan, but I love Hondas. But you want to know a brand where the fans haven't evolved a single bit and are still extremely annoying? Yes, we have, of course, you probably guessed it, BMW. BMW fans are some of the worst, most annoying and pathetic people ever. And this goes for both the drivers and just the fan base without the car as well. They're some of the most annoying and insufferable people in the car community. As for the fans, they're just straight up delusional. They go on YouTube shorts, then scroll, and their feed are just filled with straight up content of the BMW M5 CS G-Power that makes like 2,000 horsepower, gapping stock supercars. And then they start to think that's how the car comes from the factory, because their 2 brain cells can't process the fact that BMWs from the factory aren't all that crazy. And they actually need to be heavily tuned to be anything close to what they see on YouTube shorts. But no, they can't process that, and they just automatically assume that all BMWs come stock from the factory with 2,000 horsepower. And then somebody would post, let's say, a McLaren 720S or a Ferrari SF90, and there will be that one comment that says, BMW M5 CS enters the chat. Let me tell you right now, if you line up a stock M5 CS with a McLaren 720S or a Ferrari SF90, that M5 CS is going to look parked throughout the whole race. 0 to 60, it would be closer. The M5 CS would still lose, but it would be closer. But as soon as anything past 60, that M5 CS is getting left for dead. I'm sorry to burst your bubble. And I know a lot of you guys watching this right now are one of those BMW fans that listen to the funk troll face edits, but come on, grow up. As for the drivers, they're just some of the most egotistical people on the planet. They think because they have a BMW, they're better than everyone on the road, even though their BMW is a $3,000 base model 328i. Yes, those people who post steering wheel pics with their hand on the wheel, trying so hard to flex that their car is a BMW, all while also trying hard to hide the fact that every single light is on the dashboard. And they would think simply because you drive a Honda Accord, they're better than you, even though your Honda Accord costs twice as much as their clapped out base model BMW. They think they own the road, but they can't drive. And don't even get me started on them using their turn signals. I know this is a running joke, and it's been a running joke for an extremely long time now, but every time I see a BMW switch lanes, their signals are never on. So, like they say, stereotypes are earned. Moving on though, we have Tesla. And as for the fan base, it's very little. But the people who are diehard Tesla fans are extremely annoying and very low on testosterone, I might add. They always talk about how crazy the Tesla Model S Plaid is and how it's the fastest thing ever, when in reality nobody cares. The car goes for what, like $50,000 now? If we really cared about only speeding, you would see way more Tesla Model S Plaids on the road. So when someone is talking about tuning their Corvette or tuning their GTR, you bringing up the fact that a Tesla Plaid will still gap it is not making them sad at all. Like, no one is thinking, oh man, I need to trade my C7 ZR1 or my fully built GTR for a Tesla. No, we do not care. We just look at you as a loser because you're insufferable. The 3 fans that Tesla actually have are very annoying, but as for the drivers, they're somehow even more annoying. Tesla Model 3s, Model Ys, and Cybertruck drivers are the worst. None of them can drive because they rely so much on the car's technology, and once it's actually time to do anything that takes the tiniest bit of thinking, they mess it up bad. They think everybody at the light is trying to race them. And God forbid you try overtaking one while you're merging, or you just want to switch lanes. They're gonna show you the power of their microwave. Corniest people on earth. That's what I would have said if Lamborghini fans weren't the way they were. Yes, when it comes to Lamborghini fans, and this is typically targeted towards the drivers, because to be honest, the Lamborghini fan base, they aren't the best, but they're not as insufferable as the drivers. And when I say the drivers, I'm referring to the ones who own a base model soft top lime green Huracan. The people who buy these cars are typically core sellers and nothing more. All they will do is post rage bait content on their social media. The Huracan is a nice car. I'm not bashing on the Huracan by any means. But the people who buy these cars are nothing more than just scammers. They don't know anything about cars in general. They just get the money, or sometimes they even rent it. In fact, most of the times they rent it. They get the Huracan and then they just spam posts talking about, you're a grown man going to a Halloween party when me, your competition, has a Lamborghini. Mind you, they have the worst spec the Lamborghini Huracan possible. And I know some of you in the comments are thinking right now, well, what color is your Lamborghini Huracan? I am not kidding when I say this. I'd rather have a Honda Accord than a base, soft top, horribly spec'd Huracan. I do not want to be seen driving that. And some of you guys might think I'm crazy for saying that, but that's genuinely how I feel about that car. Nobody's buying your course, buddy. Stick to Amazon. You're 17. But before we even move on to the next, I want to ask you guys this. What car brand or just car in general are you a diehard fan of? As for me personally, you guys already know, it's the Corvette. But I want to know what you guys think. I want to see if you guys fall into any of these categories. Let me know in the comments, and then I'll let you know if you're valid or if you're an NPC. Anyways, moving on. Next we have, of course, the Corvette fan. Yes, this is definitely some friendly fire going on here. As much as I hate to say it, if you've been on TikTok recently, you know that the Corvette has become one of the TikTok cars. It's become an overrated, overglazed car, and it sucks. It sucks that has to happen, not the car. Everybody's dream car all of a sudden just became the C7 Z06. Before it was the C6 ZR1, and now it became the C7 Z06. It got so bad to the point people in my comments told me that I got a TikTok car. Mind you, I got this car way before it became a TikTok car, so I low-key don't know what to say to that. Like, okay, I got a TikTok car, I guess. What color is your C7 Z06? I'm joking. I'm not one of those. But as sad as it is to say, it has indeed become overhyped. But as for the drivers, it's pretty much the same thing as the Huracan, only with the C8 Stingray though. The C8 Stingray and the Huracan are just NPC course seller cars. Cars that people look at and don't associate with anything other than how can I be as flashy as possible to sell my course to these NPCs. And I'm sorry, if you see somebody in a base model Stingray C8 1LT and you decide to buy their course off of that, you deserve to get scammed. Because why is this $50,000 car making you trust this 17-year-old teenager with your money? No, e-commerce didn't get them this. You could get this exact Stingray by working in McDonald's. I'm not even joking. It's not expensive. Aside from that though, Corvette drivers are typically nice. And no, I'm not being biased. From every experience I've had with a Corvette owner, and even the moments where they don't know I'm one myself, it's been extremely nice. It's just online on the internet where the CA Corvette owners are just cocky and douchebags. Aside from that, if you actually go outside and meet a real Corvette owner, an actual enthusiast, they're going to be nice to you. Aside from Corvettes, we have another piece of recent history, and that is Koenigsegg fans. Koenigsegg fans aren't all the way terrible like they used to be, but I'll never forget the day that Bugatti released the new Bugatti Tourbillon, and the whole comment section was just filled with Koenigsegg fans talking about Koenigsegg better. You're just stuck in that facade that everything needs to be compared. What was that one J. Cole lyric? It was something like, they act like two legends cannot coexist. They need to understand that Bugatti and Koenigsegg can be side-by-side goats. And the worst part is 100% of those fan base, the Koenigsegg fan base, are people who can't even drive, who could barely solve algebraic equations. And don't even get me started on the Jesko fans, the people who die on the hill that the Jesko is the fastest car ever, even though it's never been tested. Like, no, I do not care if they claim it could go 330. If the car hasn't officially done 330, it can't go that fast. Please get a grip. You're like the modern day Supra fans. And that does bring me to my next fan base. And that, of course, is the Toyota Supra fan base. The final boss. The ones who started it all. This all started when the whole Fast and Furious franchise was going on and the Supra was the craziest car of all time. It just gathered the whole bunch of 7-year-olds who had absolutely no idea how stuff like that worked. They think a stock Toyota Supra, which by the way makes less than 300 horsepower, is the fastest car in the world. It was the craziest illusion ever. And the fact that people built these cars like straight demons didn't help the case. It was like every other day I used to scroll on YouTube shorts, I saw a troll-faced Supra edit. And this might be elite ball knowledge, but do you guys remember the saying where the kids would be like, Supra has entered the chat? Oh my god, that sounds like a fever dream now I'm talking about it. But that was really an era. That was really a thing we had to go through. Like a video would be comparing, that would be like, which one would you rather have? Would you rather have a Ferrari LaFerrari, or would you rather have a Pagani Zonda R? And then you'd have that one wave of comments talking about Supra ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. Absolute nightmare to live in. But I'm glad all that's past now. I really am, because now I can actually appreciate and enjoy the Supra without a bunch of 7-year-old in my ears being corny. Next though, we have the Mazda Miata. This one isn't terrible, but I feel kind of weirded out by the fan base because it's a whole bunch of grown men talking about how cute this car is. And the thing is, calling this a fan base is a disrespect to all other fan bases, because Miata fans are a cult, if anything. If you drive a Miata, I'm automatically assuming you're a 310-pound woman who would do absolutely anything to call herself a car girl, or 2, you are a grown man who needs to be watched closely, or you just want something cheap you could track. You're cool if that's you. Moving on though, we have to go to the Porsche fan base. Porsche fans are toxic. I remember when the Porsche GT3 RS came out and this was the most overhyped car of all time. It was to the point that the dealers were selling them for something north of $800,000. This car is insane, don't get me wrong. But the way Porsche fans glazed it when it first released was laughable. It wasn't terrible though, so therefore we're gonna move on to one that's actually terrible. And I'm sure many of you guys has been expecting this the whole time. We have Mopar, Scat Packs, and Hellcat. The owners of these cars are, oh my god, you know what they are. They don't know anything about their car, they are reckless, and they are the most egotistical people ever. They have one of, if not the worst stereotype out of any other group of people in the car scene. And the worst part is all those stereotypes are true to this day. If you see a police chase on the highway, there's a 70% chance it's with a Mopar. If you have a Hellcat, there's a 70% chance it's gonna get stolen. If you know somebody with a Hellcat, there's a 70% chance that their credit is terrible and that car is on borrowed time before it gets repoed. I don't know why these cars have such terrible and poor reputations, but that's just the way it is, and 100% deserves the spot more than any other car on this list. Actually no, now that I think about it, these last 2 cars might deserve a spot a little more than the Mopar. And those are the VQs, the Infiniti G35 and the Nissan 350Z. Yes, it's not a social orbit hate video if neither of these cars are mentioned. These cars might have taken the throne from the Mopars for the worst fan base. I feel like I don't need to explain this part, it's just common sense. VQs are the worst cars on the planet, and the people who drive them are worse. Does this car even have fans aside from the people who drive them and buy them? I've never heard anybody say I want to get a VQ. I've never heard anybody say I want to get a VQ when I make money. So I believe people who can't afford a nicer car just want to settle, get this car, and then they end up clapping it out. Anyways, that's enough. I'm tired, I'm hungry, it's late, and I'm gonna go eat something. But remember, don't be any of the people on this list. Please, take care, my friends, and drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Good night.